Alex here. Let's talk about burnout. Burnout. This is a hot topic in today's mental health awareness world, where we're always very often talking about what's going on in our minds, how we can create a lot of suffering for ourselves in our own mental capacity, and how we might be all working too hard and we're distracted, and life is moving quickly and we've got a ton of information coming in and it's causing us to be stressed and burnt out. Whatever that means, burnt out. What are we, like a piece of toast? I don't know. But I feel like I've been burnt out a few times, or at least sensed that I have. And I want to talk a little bit more about what the hell burnout is, and actually how the antidote is not necessarily about doing less work. I think a lot of people associate burnout with having worked too much and having done too many things and having been too busy at work, trying to earn a living, earn a crust and hustle and grinding, this whole culture of grinding, and having taken that too seriously and having gone out and ground and hustled and worked really hard and then found yourself suffering with a sense of burnout, with a sense of exhaustion, and how that's having a terrible effect on our mental health. There might be something to it. I don't want to kind of discount the dangers of certain types of work. This is what I want to clear up in this video. My argument here, loosely put right now, is that the solution, the antidote to burnout, and the way of preemptively not getting into burnout is to work harder, is to work more. Now let me explain myself before you throw the computer out the window. Doing more work is the solution to burnout. Now this is based on a few caveats. There are a few things that need to be in place for my argument to hold true. The first thing is that you need to be getting adequate sleep. You need to be getting a good enough diet in use. So being aware of the fact that we are what we eat, and if we're putting junk into our bodies, and of course we're going to start feeling shitty. Of course our guts are going to give us messages that make us feel depressed and anxious and so on. So get clued up on what good food is. And if I was to put it in a nutshell, avoid those sugars, avoid carbs, and you'll be a big chunk of the way towards sorting out bad diet, which ultimately leads to mental well-being and so on. But once sleep, if you're, as long as you're sleeping 7, 8, 9 hours, whatever suits you, and you've got that in the bag, and you've got your diet sorted, and you're doing regular exercise daily, ideally. If you've got those things in the bag, then the solution to whatever sense of burnout you're experiencing is not about doing less. It's not about being less productive. You can go that route if you like, and you may choose to become a monk and live in a monastery and live the peaceful life, and I don't think anyone's died from doing that, so that's fantastic. But for those of us, especially those of us who are ambitious and want to create things with our lives and realize that there's a talent within us and a genius within us that needs to be utilized so that the world and other people around us can benefit from our genius, do more work. The other caveat to this is that it has to be the kind of work that brings you to life. And this doesn't necessarily mean that it's about doing work that we love to do, because that will mean that we give ourselves the excuse not to do hard stuff. The solution to being burnt out is to do more work that involves at least a proportion of leaning into our edges, doing things that feel like a bit of a stretch, a bit of a challenge. This means if we're a painter, for example, not to just spend all our time painting, but to also do things that scare us a little bit in order to keep expanding as a person and to keep the business expanding, like going out and marketing our work and meeting gallery owners and doing the necessary relationship building work that we need to do to expand our business. So it's about doing more work, it's about being in more action, it's about doing more as opposed to doing less. One of the big reasons behind that is that burnout is an opinion based on a thought. The reason we feel stress comes from the thoughts that we've been giving ourselves. And I'm going to hazard to guess here that for most people who suffer burnout, it's because they have been losing for such a long period of time, not seeing enough wins, through lack of activity, through not doing enough to move them closer to the little successes that they need to be fueled on in order to do more activities to lead to more success and more wins and everything else. The reason I have experienced moments of burnout, when I look back, it's always because I've been thinking a lot and worrying a lot and ruminating a lot and waking myself up in the night thinking, I'm not making enough money, or I haven't been in a relationship for long enough, and I'm being weird and isolating myself by being, not like everyone else, and all these worries that float up. And it's not actually the fact that I'm working too much or doing too much, even though I have, I might be being pretty, I might be doing lots of stuff and being busy, but it's rarely to do with that, especially if I'm getting the sleep I need and the exercise and the diet. It's the thinking. So when we are not seeing the successes we want in life, that can lead to negative thinking, but also the fact that we're letting our thoughts run rampant in our heads. So it's a lack of thought management problem as well. Then we can start getting a hold on burnout, and we move towards actually doing more in our lives in order to create more wins, more sales, more successes, more relationships that come out of this added forcefulness in our activity. That's going to lead to more wins and more of a relief on our minds. I guess there are 3 solutions to burnout. One is do more work that pushes you into your edges, that pushes you towards those things that you get a little bit fearful about, that are going to benefit your career and yourself and lead to self-expansion and spiritual growth. Probably you are doing too many monotonous tasks or easy tasks, and you're too much in your comfort zone. And because of that, you're not getting a sense of aliveness that comes through the reward of challenging yourself. So that's one thing. The other thing is that you're thinking too much, you're ruminating too much, you're not able to manage those thoughts, which is what I think humanity is now evolving to become better at. We're realizing more and more that actually consciousness is where it's at. Real creativity and real energy comes from the space between our thoughts. So don't overdo the thinking, and especially don't overdo the negative thinking, because that's going to pile a lot of weight on you. Thinking has a very direct implication on the feelings we have. So if we're constantly depressed and we constantly feel burnout, it's because probably more likely because of our thinking. We're having heavy thoughts, and the way to stop thinking so much is just to stop thinking, right? Is to just let go into the moment, be conscious, be aware, slow your thoughts down with breath, with breathing. That's another aspect of it. And the third aspect is to do more that lead to wins. So be aware of the things you need to be doing in order to create more successes. Yes, life is not always so easy, especially in this economic world that we live in. If we are running our own businesses and we've got, food to put on the table, we've got to get real about what is required of us in order to create the success we're looking for. When I say success, I'm talking about movement, I'm talking about accumulation, I'm talking about bringing home the bacon, I'm talking about creating the things we need in our lives in order to survive at the very basic, and then beyond that, to live continually expanding lives and moving up that scale of, the hierarchy of, what's his name? Maslow's hierarchy from pure survival to, self-realization. Do more of what's going to lead to little wins, and be aware of those wins and reward yourself for those little wins. Lean into the idea and embrace and enjoy the idea of being a force of nature. You can be conscious and spiritual and at peace while being a tornado of movement and activity that's leading to the successes you're looking for. When you get more successes, you're going to feel better, you're going to ruminate less, you're not going to feel burnt out. That's my 3 points on burnout. Be a force of nature. Don't think too much, and lean into those edges. Take courage as needed, take those social risks, do what other people refuse to do, and you're going to do extremely well. Good luck, guys.